You doing okay?
Yeah, well, it's pretty stressful.
He was up since 4 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
So basically, what we're dealing with is just the bank's approval to say, hey, we'll loan you guys the money. First in question was the payment, specifically the down payment. They need to see where the money's coming from, and we are doing something a bit unorthodox, which is using cryptocurrency to help with the payment of this house.
Yeah. So I mean, it's amazing at least that they now acknowledge that Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these different things are not like, just money laundering, but they need you to prove that you bought the Bitcoin. Because they obviously, if somebody were to just send you some Bitcoin and then that could be, a way that you could sell it and, they want to just verify where the money's coming. It'd be the same as if I had somebody give me $50,000 in my bank account and then they would be like, well, where'd that come from?
Yeah,
and I just got to
wanna
prove
know.
it. But it's a little bit cumbersome because this is kind of new and it's a little bit, it's not like I just go buy one Bitcoin. I bought it over like 5 or 6 years to buy it all. So it's just, hopefully I got the documentation to prove it. But, when I first told him that that's what we were using for our down payment, he was kind of like, well, I don't even know if we can accept that. And then there are rules around it now. So the banks are starting to accept it. So that was just hurdle number one. I mean, because, if we don't have a down payment, we're not going to be able to, the proper amount. Yeah. The second thing is that the loan amount for what we're borrowing, because this house is almost $1 million with the closing costs, they're only going to allow us to basically borrow up to $800,000 on what you would call a regular conventional loan. If you go above that, it's considered a jumbo loan, and there's a lot more scrutiny that's involved with that. So 2 years worth of tax returns, they want like a reserve amount. So basically enough money in a separate escrow account that would pay for the mortgage for a certain period of time. They say usually between 8 and 12 months. So that right there would be like $40,000 we'd have to have in addition to our down payment sitting aside. And
for the jumbo loan.
For the jumbo loan. and the other part of that is that they would want 2 years worth of tax returns, which they would end up averaging the amount. And that might make me not qualify, because if you're a business owner, you know what it's like. You end up trying to show less so you don't pay as much in taxes. And I highly recommend anybody who does that in business, because you need to be able to be profitable, competitive, and stay in business. So, write off all the things that you can to do it, but just know that there's a consequence to that, and that's not being able to borrow money, because they want to see the tax return showing a certain amount of income. And so that's what I basically did in the last year. I really worked to make sure that we were showing everything, making sure that we're made the amount that we needed to make this qualified for this $1 million loan. But if we were to average the 2 years, I might not qualify, and then won't be able to buy the house.
So we stayed away from a jumbo loan situation.
Stayed away from a jumbo loan because I didn't want all the extra criteria.
So we wanted to borrow less, which meant we had to have a higher down payment, which was where the cryptocurrency came into play. So
I wasn't really expecting to have to come up with $200,000.
But there we were.
We made it work. Now the next step of it is the other conditions that they have with the loan. And the one thing that the appraiser came out and appraised it, which they appraised for $970. So, it came up above, I always say that about appraisals. Like, they're going to come up with a way to show it, unless it's egregiously overpriced. They're always going to basically match what the market is, what they're listing it for in a lot of ways, especially in this environment with the last couple of years, everything just spiking in price. You're going to be able to find comparables that justify the price.
Yeah.
So they had it at $970, which is good. That qualifies for that. But the one thing that they mentioned on the appraisal was a leaking problem, or water. It said water in basement, origin unknown. So it wasn't getting into any like, hey, there's a foundation problem. It wasn't saying any of that. It was just highlighting that there was water in the basement.
But that scared the bank.
And that made the underwriters question that. And so now they want documentation that, it was remedied, that was fixed. We had the sellers write a letter. They don't want to accept that because that's not a professional giving their advice.
But the sellers were saying that the cause of the water was due to the spring thaw that's common up north.
Yeah, I mean, when we went up there was 2 feet of snow. It melted.
There was water coming.
It's an old house.
Yeah.
It needs an interior French drain system. That's what we're gonna have to do.
But structurally, it's sound. The foundation is not cracking. It's not buckling. It's not bending.
Yeah, foundation looks totally fine, but it makes sense. I mean, when you have water hydraulic pressure behind a foundation, and it's not able to be expelled from the foundation, then when it freezes, it pushes the basement wall in.
Yeah.
So most solutions is just to simply put an interior French drain system, allow that water to go into a sump pump and pump it out of the house. I mean, so as long as there isn't any hydraulic pressure, you're not going to get the freezing that you're going to, press up against the foundation wall. So it's a very simple process, but
labor intensive,
but simple, and but I can't do what's really driving me nuts is I can't just go up there and fix it. They want, because they're not going to want anything from the buyer end on this.
But he wants to drive up there so bad.
So so I think we got a ability to get another contractor to take a look at it. Basically, just satisfy the bank as far as saying that there isn't any foundation issues, because there isn't any foundation issues. There's no buckling, there's no cracks, there's no this is really kind of scary. It's literally was just some water on the floor. And one thing with the old houses too, I mean, that's one of the nice things about code, when they implement them on new homes, you're not allowed to penetrate through a foundation wall for your well pump or anything. Any type of conduit for your wires, any type of gas line. Everything has to be either underneath the footer and up, or up through the house and down. You don't go through a foundation wall where it's under dirt, because 99% of the chances over time it's going to leak wherever you poke a hole in it.
Yeah.
Pretty much makes sense. But older homes, they didn't really devise it that way, and a lot of people would just, the plumbers would just route the water line straight through the foundation wall, and then you end up, with leaks that come in. And there's really nothing you can do really too much about that other than put an interior French drain system in. So we're getting down to the wire. We only got a couple more weeks before we have to have the complete approval of the loan. And we're supposed to, it's March 27th now?
What's the date today? Is it March 20th? Yeah, it's March 27th. We're supposed to close on April 16th is the tentative date.
Yeah.
And the banks need to know, have all the information in the 2nd or something?
By the 2nd.
Yeah.
We basically kind of need to be cleared to close
by the 2nd.
April 2nd, and then we got 2 more weeks, to actually have the closing. So we'll see. I'll know by later today whether, we're going to be able to get this to go through with the underwriters.
It's just been a stressful couple of days, especially for Steve. He's the one that's carrying this burden on his shoulders.
Well,
so,
if I didn't feel like really that I really loved this house, and it wasn't something I think was really going to be able hard to replace, because there isn't that many homes that go for sale up there.
No.
And everything since
inventory's
we did it, there's just nothing. And and I don't want to stuff that's going for $1.5 million still isn't even that great. And we just can't afford it. We can't afford now knowing how the jumbo loan works.
Mm-hmm. We know now.
$1 million is the most we can go. I can't. We might qualify for more, but I'm not going to be able to borrow the money.
No.
So we'll see.
So we'll keep you guys up to date, posted.